Without a clear offer, your personal brand is just a hobby that doesn't make any money. I see this constantly. People trying to build audiences, posting daily, getting some engagement, but they have no idea what they should even be selling or even how to package their expertise. So in this video, I'm gonna walk you through the complete system on how to identify what you should be selling, how to package it into an offer, and how to build a personal brand that sells it on autopilot. This is the exact system I've used to build a multiple six-figure business with my personal brand, and is also the system I use to help everyday regular people go from zero to making $10,000 per month in under a year. So if that sounds interesting to you, pay very close attention, because if you do, it likely will work for you too. Now, to start things off, I'm going to explain exactly why most people have the idea of building an offer and personal brand completely backwards, and because of this, it literally gets them nowhere no matter how much effort they put into this. So most people think that you got to post on 3 platforms every single day to get your name out there, right? They want to do TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and maybe like an email newsletter all in one go when they're starting from zero. The problem with this is that if you're doing it, you're spreading yourself way too thin, because eventually when you do this and you're not getting results and you have to post 3 times on every single platform and you're getting like 5 likes on every post, you're just going to burn out, and then you're going to quit and you're going to say, oh, it doesn't work for me. Social media does work. There are, I think, like millions of people making money on social media today, but you have to make it work for you, and you have to be smart in your approach. So let me ask you this: how can you master 3 if you can't do 1? Doesn't it make more sense to just focus on 1 and get some kind of results before you branch out? Maybe getting results from 1 platform will allow you to get some money, some capital, some cash flow, some product market fit, so then you can hire people to expand. But don't do 3 at the same time. It just doesn't work. So if you think about how a whole funnel works, okay? It's essentially people are posting on social media like YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, and TikTok because they want to get traffic. They want to funnel people somewhere, right? And so for this example, let's say your goal is to book a call. You want to get on the phone with people and you sell them on a call, right? Let's just keep it simple. You can sell on the DMs, you can sell on the landing page. But for today, we're going to talk about booking on calls. So you create all this content and you try to book a call. And then from there, once you get on the call with them on a Google Meets or Zoom, you try to sell them. So yeah, it's true that if you have your name out there more and you're creating more content on all these platforms, theoretically, you're going to have more traffic into more people booking calls. The problem is when you're splitting your attention so thin between YouTube and LinkedIn and Instagram and TikTok, they all require a different skill set. Even though you might think, oh, I can just repost my YouTube short onto Instagram and I'll put it on LinkedIn, then I'll put it on TikTok, then I have 4 in 1. It doesn't work, because the nuance and like understand your market, you need to have it at a granular level. You can't just repost things. It just doesn't work. And if you look at the biggest teams, the biggest names in personal branding that for each platform, they have dedicated people specializing in each one. So if they're doing that, how can you be trying to master all of them if even the big guys don't even master all of them? They have individual people mastering each one. But what if you actually simplified your business into this: 1 traffic source, 1 conversion method, and 1 offer, right? Like so many people out there, they think doing more is better. They think hustling is the way to go. But you need to hustle, but work smart. So for example, if you were to choose YouTube as your main platform, and one of my first platforms was actually YouTube. All I did was make YouTube videos over and over and over. I didn't even touch Instagram. I didn't touch anything at the time. It was just YouTube, and I was able to make 6 figures just off of YouTube per year, just making these long form videos. And then I would get people to buy stuff, right? So instead of thinking you should do so many things, try an exercise of limiting yourself to just 1 traffic source, maybe 2, and I'll explain how you can do 2, but 1 or 2, 1 way of monetizing. So let's call it book calls, because booking calls is the easiest way to sell people, right? You don't need a website. You don't need anything fancy. You just put your Calendly link there and people will book calls, right? And then you sell 1 offer over a call. Don't try to sell them a whole menu of things of I can do design, I can do web development, no, just do 1 thing. And if you get 1 person to go through this funnel from finding you, getting on the call and selling them, you can do it again and again and again and refine the process. And by the way, if you want a crash course on exactly how to build and monetize your personal brand, I actually put together a free training that will show you the exact process I take my clients from $0 to $10,000 per month in 30 days to 60 days. So if you want to check that out, I put a link in the description for you to sign up for free. And if it makes sense after the call, you can actually book a call directly with me, where I'll help you craft a growth plan to see how you might be able to do this for yourself and escape your 9 to 5 and build a business of your dreams. Now you might think, okay, Patrick, like one funnel makes sense, one traffic source, one offer, one way to monetize. Okay, but what about, should I do short form or should I do long form? And I get this a lot from a lot of my clients. So let me give you the answer here. Short form content is actually easier to get results faster, okay? So if we're talking, let's say LinkedIn and Instagram, I like those the most. And it depends where your audience is and who you're trying to sell to. Obviously for B2B professionals, LinkedIn's the way to go. But maybe B2C, you're helping people with like productivity or fitness or something like that, Instagram is the way to go, right? Now, why they're easier is because you can make a piece of content every day. It can be 30 seconds, 60 seconds, and it doesn't take like a whole, you don't have to make a whole YouTube video, right? Because YouTube videos, you need an editor or you edit yourself and it's like, 15 to 20 minutes, sometimes longer. It takes a lot of work. But you can just whip out an Instagram video just on your iPhone really quick to see if it works, right? It's just easier to get started. And the beauty of LinkedIn and Instagram is that you can DM people. This is like one of the biggest hacks of 2025. If you don't have a website, you don't know any technical things, and you only have a calendar link, all you need to do is create content. Everybody that follows you, DM them. Ask them, hey man, are you here for the content or are you looking to insert result, build your personal brand, get fit, and find the love of your life, whatever. They'll say, oh yeah, I was checking out the content and yeah, I'm actually looking to build my personal brand. Then you start a conversation and then you book a call with them, right? Just like a human being would do. So short form, easier to get started. Now let's talk about long form, which is for me, my bread and butter, right? I do both, but long form is where it's at because in the end, no matter which short form content you do, all roads will lead to long form YouTube. The reason is because when you're watching a video on Instagram, you're watching for like 30 seconds, a minute, then you scroll to the next thing. TikTok, same thing. LinkedIn, same thing. But on YouTube, people discover you, they watch you for 10 minutes, then they binge watch you, then they'll watch like 10 videos in a row, right? So they know you, they know your story, they know the clients that you helped. It's like slowly selling them and getting them into your world. So by the time they book a call with you, they already trust you. And now they just need to talk to you to make sure it's the right fit. So that's why I highly recommend people think long-term. If you're going to do this for the next, let's say 5-10 years of your life, build a YouTube channel, 100%. But you can get started on LinkedIn and do one YouTube video a week. That's one way to do it. So like I was saying, YouTube builds trust, builds the most depth for your ideal clients. And best of all, the content can be evergreen, right? And it can compound for years. So for a short form, any platform really, the life cycle of a piece of content might, you might get 10,000 views in one day, and then 3 days later that video's dead. It doesn't get any views, and you have to keep, creating content and be on that hamster wheel. But for YouTube, when you're creating the video, if it has good SEO and good recommendations, it just keeps getting views. So I'll give you an example. So one of my most popular videos in personal branding is called How to Build a Personal Brand with AI, right? So I dropped this about 200-ish days ago. And you can see it's just been getting views every month, thousands of views, and booking a ton of calls for me, right? And obviously, more, 6,000 subscribers. It's made $1,000 in ad revenue, which I just think of as free money. My business model doesn't rely on ad revenue, but hey, I'll take $1,000. It's nice. So as you can see on the right side, you see where the top traffic sources are coming from this video. YouTube search, like people are searching like how to build a personal brand, and they're finding my video, right? They're getting recommended. They're seeing me on my YouTube channel, right? There's all these other features and people are sharing it as well. So if you're able to have these like killer keystone long form videos this one's 34 minutes, right? When somebody finds you on Instagram or LinkedIn, what do? They search you on Google, they find you on YouTube. Then they're going to be like, oh, whoa, this video got 200,000 views. Let me check that out. And then that video literally sells people into the way I do things. And if they like it and they want more help, they eventually book a call. I talk to them and then they become a client, right? So in the future, as you build your personal brand, have one way to DM people and another long form. So it's just so much easier to nurture and sell, right? So again, should you do short form or long form? There's really no perfect answer. It really depends on your unique situation and what you want to do. But if I were to give my perspective, this is what I would do. If I was starting a personal brand from zero, I would actually do YouTube, one long form video a week. And then on another short form platform, I would either choose LinkedIn or Instagram, depending on my niche, I would post 5 times a week. And then I would drive everybody to the same thing, which is to book a call. Okay. And even in your YouTube videos, you can say, hey guys, follow me on LinkedIn, follow me on Instagram, and I'll give you a special whatever, like a lead magnet, right? And people actually follow. Then you can DM the people that follow you from YouTube, and you just transfer them to a place where you can DM. The thing about YouTube is you can't DM people on YouTube, so you have to bring them on a different platform, right? So same thing with Instagram, right? It's the same exact strategy, just different platforms and slightly different strategies when it comes to the content, but the idea is the same. 1 long form video a week, 5 short form content a week. And as long as you're making good stuff, eventually you will book calls. I think if anyone did this, it's pretty much inevitable that they will book calls and make money. The only reason you wouldn't is if your content was just not good. Now, a common mistake I see is that a lot of people think you should focus more on just getting followers and subscribers off the bat and worry about making money later. And I understand the logic, right? If you build a big audience, you can find a way to monetize. But the reality is a lot of people are also broke. And I know a lot of people who have a following that aren't able to make any money. So the solution to this is from day one, I personally believe you should have a clear offer in mind. Even though it's not perfect, it may not be the final thing you decide on, but at least have in your head, this is what I think I want to sell. So this is the content I'm going to make to attract the people that may want to buy it. If you cannot even have that simple train of thought, every piece of content you make, how do you know if you will attract your ideal customer? The answer is you don't, because you never thought about it, right? So the key is you need to create content to attract your ideal clients. And this is how creators who have a small niche following can build a full-time living off of their personal brands. So one of my clients, Yvonne, actually, she helps people get high-paying tech sales jobs. She only has 693 YouTube subscribers and 3,528 LinkedIn followers, and she makes $7,000 per month. She doesn't even have 1,000 subs. As long as you have a clear vision of how you help people and you actually can do a good job. And she's got a bunch of testimonials at this point, right? Because she's been doing it almost a year now, but she started from zero in a 9-to-5 job and she just made it happen. And she just, keeps posting 1 YouTube video a week and it's working. She quit her job after doing coaching for 2 months. And then now she's been full-time ever since, being able to travel the world and work online. And $7K, you might think it's not that much money, but the reality is $7K is a lot of money if you're able to live anywhere you want in the world, right? You can move to Vietnam. I'm filming this video in Vietnam right now, right? And I'll tell you, if you have 7K in Vietnam, you're balling out. And also you're free. You don't have to, work in a corporate company. You don't have to drive to the office every day. It's a lot of people would rather take less money and buy their freedom, because once you do that, you have time to figure out how you can double and triple your income. Whereas if you're in a job, if you want to climb the ladder, what are they going to give you? 10%? Raise every year. So now that you understand the whole idea of personal branding and creating an offer and building content around that, let's go ahead and talk about how to actually build an offer. And that is really taking your expertise, the knowledge that you have in your head and your skills, putting it into something where you can clearly explain it to someone and they can buy. Now, the biggest mistake people make when it comes to starting a business is they start a business, they don't have any expertise. So when I was, trying a lot of different ideas when I quit my tech sales job to move to Thailand, and I tried a bunch of different things, one of the worst ideas I've tried was a matcha pop-up ice cream shop. When I think in hindsight, why would I even do that if I have no experience in ice cream? I have no experience marketing this thing. Do I even love matcha ice cream that much that I would dedicate my whole life into this business? No, I just thought it was cool. Oh, wouldn't it be cool if I had a matcha, shop? Horrible idea. And it failed and I lost a bunch of money. So after that bad experience, I just thought, why don't I just teach the skills I already have? Because I was making 6 figures at my tech sales job. So clearly there are many companies in the world that value my skills. But what if I took those same exact skills and instead of selling my time to a company, started creating online courses and teaching people all the things I knew? And that's exactly what I did. So I want to go through an exercise with you so you can do this for yourself. And I call this the skill audit. And what we're going to do is we're going to help you brainstorm and identify skills that you've developed over your career, right? You've lived a long time, you've done stuff. So how do we take what you've done, even though you may not think it's that valuable, and sell it into the market? So the first thing is you got to ask yourself, what do people come to you for help with? Just think of your everyday life. Do your coworkers ask you for help on a certain thing? Are you good with computers? Are you good with numbers? Are you good at sales? Like, you'd be surprised that your everyday regular job, you have skills that you developed over the years that you can sell into the market. Second thing to ask yourself is, what feels easy to you but hard for others? I know for me, one of the things that at first didn't come naturally, but when I trained it became very easy, was public speaking. So I used to be shy, awkward, and quiet, which is why I dedicated a certain period of my life to learn the skill set of communicating. And once I did that and I got into my sales job and all those things, selling and talking to people, speaking on stage, doing presentations became really easy. So when I started making YouTube videos, it just came out so naturally. I didn't need a script. I can just freestyle with a couple bullet points and it just worked. Now for other people, they need a full script, they gotta write, they gotta think so much, and it feels very difficult for them. So creating content for me just naturally became easy. It wasn't something that I had to try super hard in, right? And the next thing is, what have you been paid for? So this is where you want to think about at your job, okay? Especially if you are someone who is in a job that's skilled, like maybe you're running ads, you're managing a budget, you're a project manager, right? Like something where you have to use your brain. If you're doing that for your company, the chances are you can take the same exact skill sets and just do it for other companies, but as your own business, as a freelancer, as an agency, or maybe you don't want to do the work, but you just want to consult them and coach them on how they can do it. So the best place to start is to use the skills you already have, the things that people naturally tell you that you're good at, and those are the things you should start looking at. Not doing random things like I did, like a matcha pop-up shop, right? It's like, why even do that? Do the things that come natural to you so that it's going to be a lot faster for you to your first 10K. Otherwise, you're going to be going into an industry, you have to learn all these new skills, you don't understand the industry, and it's going to take you like 2 years to even like get your foot wet and like even start making money. Like, why not just take the skill you have, make money today, right? And at the end of the day, all we're really doing is we're taking one simple skill and we're just monetizing it online. That is it at the end of the day. It's actually that simple. Now, I'll give you some tips here. The easiest skills to monetize, like I was saying, are the skills that you already are getting paid for at your job, right? And I would recommend in this day and age, whichever path you choose or whichever skill you decide to pursue to sell, you want to make it AI assisted, okay? Now I know this is like, oh, it's like a buzzword like AI, right? But the truth is it works. So if you're, let's say, a copywriter and your job is to write YouTube scripts, if you said, hey, I write the YouTube scripts and I use AI to write the scripts fast, it's super good, and you only have to pay a fraction of the price of what it would cost you for a full-time copywriter. Now you're providing real value, right? Or if you're a sales coach, take all the sales calls that of the people you're coaching, run it through ChatGPT so that you can just go through all that material so much faster, find ways you can improve, and just give them the feedback quicker so they can improve, right? So people won't think like, oh, they use AI so they're lazy. That's not true. What people pay for is the result. How you do it doesn't matter. And in fact, a lot of the, companies nowadays, they want to work with people who are super AI savvy. So you need to be AI savvy. So whatever you do, think about how do you incorporate AI into it. So that's why you see some of my YouTube videos, the one I showed you before, how to build a personal brand with AI. If someone did, I remember Yvonne did a video, which one of my clients, she did how to find like the perfect tech sales job on LinkedIn with AI, right? Like anything can be done using AI. It'll make it 10 times faster and 10 times better. Let's say you don't have any skills, right? Like if you want to learn a new skill that you want to monetize and you're just tired of whatever you've been doing at your job, you could probably become somewhat decent within 1 to 3 months, like decent enough to sell that skill and start making some money, right? Now you might think that's ridiculous. Like how could you learn a skill so quickly? Well, think about this. Let's say you're at your job and then your boss told you, hey, Patrick, I need you to learn how to run ads. I know you never ran ads before, but we need it now. You kind of know marketing, so I'm going to make you in charge of this. And so if it's your job and you're getting paid, let's say $6K a month to do your job, and they say you got to run ads, chances are you'll probably learn how to run ads in 1 or 2 months. It's not that hard, right? And I would know because I've taken courses on running ads, and you could probably learn the basics on how to boost the Instagram post in a week, okay? So a lot of skills that are valuable to companies out there, you really can learn in 1 to 3 months, right? Don't be discouraged. Don't shoot yourself in the foot. Don't think you can't do it. The world is changing. You got to adapt. So if you want to learn a new skill, have the mindset to learn it quick. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the offer structure, right? So we talked about, okay, like how do you monetize a skill, but how do you put this all together? So once you pick a skill that you want to monetize, you want to package it into an offer. And I'm going to give you 3 common frameworks that just work, right? Now, these aren't the only frameworks. You can find different examples out there, but I want to give you 3 just so you to get started. So the first one is done for you services. Now, done for you is literally when you just do the work for them. So if you're a copywriter and you need to do the copy for a website, well, you're just gonna do all the work and write the copy and deliver the result, and they will pay you thousands of dollars for that, right? If you are a video editor and your job is to edit videos and you have clients, like 5 other YouTubers that you edit videos for, your end product that you give them is a finished video. So it's pretty clear, like done for you is a service. Okay. And this is typically the easiest to sell because you can just think of yourself as a freelancer or an agency owner, and you're just saying like, hey, you pay me this amount and I will do the work for you. And it's very easy for someone to. Next one is going to be done with you. So these are things like coaching, consulting, and maybe even doing some of the work as a service, right? You're doing it with them. So this is popular for, let's say, if you're a coach and you help people get high paying tech sales jobs. You can't go into the interview and interview for your client. You can only give them advice on how to do it. So coaching is as close as you can get to helping them get the results, right? Because at the end of the day, like, yeah, you can write the script for them and what they're going to say in the interview, but they're going to have to execute it, right? So that's kind of like in between, done with you. Now, do it yourself are things more like courses, PDFs, digital products, books, things like that, right? Where you just sell them the thing, you don't have to really provide any support, and they just consume the material like reading a book, and they learn something. So doing it yourself, if you're trying to sell it for a high price, is probably the most difficult thing to sell. And, you know, done with you is in the middle, done for you is the easiest to sell. So that's typically, just in general, the rule of thumb. Now I'll share with you my personal journey on the different type of offers that I created from like start to finish, right? So in the beginning, I actually started with low ticket. This is when I started to make my first like $1,000 online. So I actually started on this website called Udemy, where I just started making a bunch of sales courses, right? Like how to write a cold email, how to do LinkedIn, you know, how to be more productive, communication skills. And in my lifetime, I've got 193,000 learners or students, 70,000 reviews. So if you combine the total sales of all these courses, it's over $1 million in total revenue. So my experience doing that is, yes, it changed my life, to be honest. But it's hard in that you need a lot of volume for it to work. Okay. So in order to get 193,000 customers, right, you need a lot of traffic. And the only way I got that traffic was because Udemy was the one driving all the traffic. I just happened to make some of the best sales courses, put them up. People liked it. They gave me good reviews, and it just kept getting sales without me having to do anything, right? So I'm sitting on their platform. The thing is, they could take like 50% of your revenue, right? So then if they took, let's say I made $1 million in revenue, they're taking 50% of that, right? So that's only $500,000 for me. And I wouldn't recommend people do low ticket, to be honest, because like you're relying too much on a platform. And a lot of times if you have a valuable skill, like you don't have to go low ticket, right? So let's go in mid ticket. So after I basically made a full-time living off of Udemy, I was like, okay, I don't want to rely on this platform. I can continue to grow on it, but I need to grow my own platforms. And that's when I started building my personal brand on YouTube about 6 years ago. So at the time when I launched my YouTube channel, all I really did was create these videos on how to do LinkedIn, how to sell me this pen, you know what I mean? So it was a lot of like SEO style videos, which I wouldn't recommend that strategy as much anymore. It was just like back in the day, that was what was popular. And on the back of these courses, I would actually sell a mid-ticket course. So basically I created this course called Sales Legacy, and it basically teaches like everything I know about sales. I packaged it all into one course and I sold it for $497, right? So all I really had to do was make YouTube videos, and I would say, hey guys, if you want, you know, some free training, link is in the description. They watch a training and then they have opportunity to buy the course for basically $500. And yeah, that itself was a 6-figure business, just doing that. Then over time, I realized like, hey, you know, maybe I should be charging more. And this is when I got into high ticket, right? So once I got more experience in selling these online courses, I actually got into NFTs, and I created a whole separate crypto NFT YouTube channel and became like one of the more popular creators. And because of my popularity and people respected my opinion, they actually asked me for consultation, right? So they just said like, hey, if you were to give me advice as an advisor or a consultant, like how much would you charge? So the first person that asked me, I just told them like, I'll do it for 25K. It was just for a couple months of work, and they were like done. And they sent me the money in USDC. And then that was the beginning of my, higher ticket consulting career. And yeah, I mean, I've charged 25K to 90K, like it depends on the project, right? So that's where I really learned like the whole high ticket thing. And that YouTube channel, it was like one of the biggest, but it only had like 10 to 20,000 subscribers at the time. But I was still making like, multiple six figures off of this, right? So you don't need a super big following to make six figures or like 10K a month if that's your goal. You just need to have a niche audience, build authority, and have something really valuable to sell. What I was selling with consulting, I was basically selling free money, because with my advice, whatever the project would do, they would make more money than they paid me. So I'm practically free, right? And so nowadays, my focus is more on Founder X, not so much crypto, where I help everyday regular people like you watching this, go from zero to trying to get to your first 10K as quickly as possible. So I kind of done the whole spectrum here. And I got to say, high ticket is actually the easiest to sell in terms of like creating meaningful revenue from my perspective, because you don't need a lot of subscribers. You can be niche. You don't need to compete with Mr. Beast. You can just focus on your thing and be the authority in your field, and people will trust and respect you and eventually buy from you. So a couple thoughts on this. So for pricing, right? I, again, recommend going high ticket and being as hands-on as possible in the beginning, because the more work you do for them, the easier it is to pay you, right? If you're selling, let's say a $9.97, do-it-yourself course, which I've tried before, you can sell it, but it's hard to sell, and you need a lot of volume in order for it to work. Like you need a big following to make significant money off of this, right? And if you only have like not even 1,000 subs, like this is not going to work. You're better off selling high ticket with 1,000 subs and making 10K by charging more and doing more. So if you are seriously trying to quit your job, I would start high ticket, get some cash flow in, get some proof that you can actually like do the thing you say you can do. And then from there, once you're making like 5, 10K a month, decide if you really want to create lower ticket products. Or maybe you can go even higher ticket, right? Like you don't have to just stop at 2K or 5K. Could you charge 10K? Could you charge 20K? You can, but it depends on the value you provide. So now that you understand this whole pricing game and why high ticket might make more sense for you, let's talk about packaging your offer. So the biggest mistake that people make when it comes to creating an offer is that they're focusing too much on how the food is made. So what do I mean by this? When you're going to a restaurant, right? Let's say a Michelin star restaurant. They bring out the food on the table, the waiter's pouring like the whatever sauce on the beef, and you're like, oh my God, this is so good. Phone's out, recording this, right? Amazing experience. So you care about how the food looks, how it tastes, the presentation, how the people treat you, the environment of the restaurant, right? It's all the exterior. But nobody cares about what happens in the kitchen. And I found a picture of a nice kitchen, but there are many kitchens that don't look that nice. It's got like fluorescent lighting, and it's just like, if it's noisy and dirty and whatever, right? Because people don't care how the food is made. They care how it tastes, how it makes them feel, how it's presented. So similar with an offer, nobody cares about what you do and how you do it, right? They only care about the results that you're delivering. So when I work with a lot of people starting out, right, especially the ones who are employees, who are very skilled and want to be entrepreneurs, they always they give me a Google Doc and they're like, Patrick, this is all the things I can offer. And it'll be like 8 pages of just a bunch of things that, maybe they could do for a client. When I look at that, it gives me a headache to read, because I'm like, dude, how are you going to even explain this on a sales call? Like it would literally take you an hour to go through your entire offer, right? So you just got to make it simple. People don't care about how it's done. They don't care like how many calls you have to do or like how much back-end work or ops there is. They just care about like, if I pay you $5,000, what am I going to get? How am I going to make money? How am I going to save time, right? That's what they care about. And another thing is you never want to charge by the hour. This is the biggest mistake I see, right? If you're trying to sell a package for 5K, and I help a lot of my clients with this. So they try to sell something, let's call it 2K, right? And then on the sales call, I listen to the call with my clients. Basically, they send me the recording. And then the guy will be like, yeah, 2K feels like a lot of money. Like how much it costs per hour? Can I pay you like $50 an hour? So it's just not fair for the coach, right? In that situation, because yes, like if you took $50 an hour and maybe it took like 4 hours to help them get a high paying tech sales job, right? Let's say that's what you promised. then you would only get $200. But then on the receiving end for them, if they get that high paying tech sales job, maybe they're making $100K a year. So how is it fair that you help them make $100,000 per year and they only paid you 200, right? So that's why you don't want to charge by the hour. Instead, you charge by the result. And if you said like, hey, how much would it be worth if I got you this $100,000 tech sales job? Oh, it would be amazing. I would even pay $10,000 for that if you can guarantee it, right? And maybe that's what you should be selling. You see, so you charge by the result because it's worth it. Now, from my experience, the only time it's worth it to charge by the hour is if you just charge a ridiculous price. And you're just like, I don't usually charge by the hour, but if you want to buy the hour, this is the price. And if they say yes, then just do it. That's the only time, right? But chances are, most of you guys don't have the leverage or personal brand to do that. Once you have your personal brand and, like people trust you, like you can. So if I said, oh, per hour, it's $3,000. And if they said, yes, I'm doing it, right? Because yeah, I'll take a a call for $3,000 per hour. Why not, right? But if they said, $50, no, stay away. You know what I mean? Okay, so let's go ahead and get into some examples of offers so you know what a good offer is and what a not good offer is, right? So like a bad offer might be like, I offer sales coaching. So vague, we don't know the timeline, what's the end result, who's gonna buy this? Nobody, right? But a better offer would be, I help tech professionals land 120K plus sales roles in 60 days at the top 1% of tech companies. It's very clear for who it is, people that wanna break into tech, clear of the amount of money they're going to make once they get the job, how long, 60 days, and then which jobs, the top 1% tech companies like Google, Oracle, and stuff where I used to work, right? So you got to be able to explain your offer in one sentence. Like, I help this specific kind of person achieve this kind of outcome in this time with my unique method, right? I help small, medium businesses who are, salons, right? Make 3 times more revenue in 60 days by running more Facebook ads for them to drive more customers to their in-person stores. It's that simple. And I remember I was talking to this guy on the phone. It was a sales call, right? And he was just kind of blabbering off about like what kind of offer he had, which he's never sold. And I was like, can we take a step back? Can you explain your offer to me in one sentence? Just so I can understand, right? And then he's like, oh no, I can't, what I do cannot be explained in one sentence. And then at that point, I pretty much ended the call, right? Because that's someone that's not really willing to learn. Because the reality is, if you cannot explain your offer in one sentence, like the example I gave you, right? In that one sentence offer, you will not be able to convince someone on a call, let alone a stranger who just found you on YouTube, to buy your thing because they're not going to understand it. So you need to simplify, your offer into something so small. And if I were to give advice to that one guy I was talking to on the phone, like, part of the reason why he probably will struggle with entrepreneurship is because he has such a big ego that he just can't let it go to change, and that's really a big part of making this work. So beyond just the results that you're promising, you have to also explain like how your offer works, right? So I'll kind of go through some examples of like things that I do or things that, are common in the marketplace. So for example, people might want to know like how many one-on-one calls do I get if you're doing coaching or consulting or group coaching calls, right? How much access do you get? Can you text the person? Can you call them anytime? Can you book a meeting with them anytime, right? Some people offer like consulting and they'll say, hey, it's $8,000 per month and you can text me anytime. I'll respond the same day. You can call me anytime, right? Some people offer that, What's the end result after time period, like X months? What's the progression plan over X months? So some people just want a plan of like month, 2, 3, 4. So they have a clear path to success. And then also like what resources and tools you provide, whether it's course, ChatGPT, prompts, templates, scripts, like you name it, right? Like what's a given. So I'll give you my example of what I sell. So I sell Founder X, right, which is a business program helping people go from their 9-to-5 job to building a personal brand and monetizing online using their skills. So how I typically sell it on the call is I basically, sell it as like a growth plan, right? So I basically say, hey, if you're starting from zero, the first thing I'm going to do is help you with your offer, figuring out what to sell, who to sell it to, right? Because if you don't have that, you're not going to make any money. Second is we're going to work on lead generation. We got to get people to know who you are. So you're going to build your personal brand, create content on either LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, depending on which one you want to do and where your customer hangs out. And also, if you want, you can do outbound. Just reach out to the people you want to work with instead of waiting for them to come to you, right? And your success is determined by how many meetings you get. So let's just get as many meetings as possible so we can sell that offer. Number 3, monetization. Once you get the views and once you send the outbound, what do you need to do? You need to get the meeting. So I'm going to show you how you can get the meetings, how you can close them on the phone confidently and sell this new offer that you just made out of thin air for thousands of dollars. So that's the what, right? That's what people learn when they join my program. Now let's go into the how I actually work with you, which I usually do after I explain the what. So I'll say, okay, Founder X is a 1-year membership. Next, you're gonna get direct DM consulting with me and my team. So anytime you have a question, hit us up on Discord, which is where we run the community, and we will help you out so you're never stuck. And the last thing, obviously the online course where you get the templates, the scripts, the GPTs. So when you put all this together, right, and you have your growth plan, you know exactly what you need to be working on, and you have the support you need and the tools and the education in order to know what you should be spending your time on. All you really need to do, man, is have an offer, make content, and make sales. I make it as simple as possible. How fast can you get results? Although I cannot guarantee it. A lot of people can get their first client in 30 days. Some people take 60 days. Some people take longer. It really depends on you. So that's pretty much my pitch on how I sell people. But you kind of see the simplicity in that, right? It's like, just draw a little triangle and just have 3 points on the main things you teach. And if you cannot explain your offer in such a simple way, don't expect people to buy it. So let's talk about the personal brand foundations, right? Like if you're building a personal brand, what do you need to know in order to get this popping, to get it going? So here's the thing. If everybody can get the same information on ChatGPT and you have 100 competitors talking about the same exact topic that you talk about, how are you supposed to stand out in a bloody red competitive ocean, right? Fair question. So when I started, I'll tell you how I stood out, right? And so these are my first videos that I put on YouTube, right? At this point, because I got so many views over the years, they have like 25K views, 200K views here, 421,000 views on the how to cold call video, right? So obviously, even on my first videos, they did pretty good. Now, how do I stand out? Really, it was about positioning. So at the time, the only people really teaching sales on YouTube were older white guys. Okay, they've been in sales for like 20 years, 30 years. They're already kind of, they're successful. They're like big names. And it's like, it's not relatable for the younger generation, right? They haven't been in the trenches. They don't even send any cold emails anymore. So what do they know about doing that? Or what do they know about cold calling if they don't do it themselves, right? And so when I came into the scene, I just went from this approach of like, hey, like I used to work in Silicon Valley. I was, doing pretty good at my job. I was in the top 1% at Oracle during my first year. Then I joined a YC-backed startup. So it's like a lot of the credentials, I'm checking the boxes, right? And then I also look different. I'm Asian, right? So I think that also played a factor as well, because I know for a fact that like a lot of universities in Asia and stuff like that, they actually play my videos in their class, because my friends have taken pictures and they send it to me. They're like, dude, like they're playing your sales videos in our university. So I just took a whole different spin, right? I was younger, closer to the trenches. I looked different from everybody else. I have a different perspective, talk differently. And so for a lot of people in the world that don't relate to the older 60-year-old white guy who's teaching sales, it just connected more. And it was just that fresh approach. Nowadays, there's a lot of young people doing sales, right? But then at the time when I was popping off, in tech sales specifically, that was my unique positioning and advantage. So you need to think about what's your unique advantage, right? And what are you going to do differently in a more competitive market? Now let's talk about where I'm at now. So right now I'm kind of competing in the personal brand niche, right? And as you know, if you're watching this, there's a lot of people that also build, help people build personal brands. And there's a lot of these guys that have 1 million plus, subscribers. I don't have 1 million. I have like 300 some K, right? So how do I compete in this market? I'll tell you exactly how I do it, right? But don't tell anybody. So the first thing is your story. So my personal origin story, right? I had a 6-figure tech sales job working 9 to 5, left it all to move to Asia to build an online business started in Thailand, but ended up living in Vietnam, right? So there's a lot of people out there who were in a similar spot as me. So my current avatar that I want to work with is really just my past self. It's people who are making pretty good money at their job. They feel like they have golden handcuffs. They are entrepreneurial. They know they're meant for more. They know they can do it. They're just a little lost and they're just not sure which direction to go. So when I tell my personal journey, which nobody can take away from me, and it's authentic, and I have all the pictures, videos, and proof to show that it's real, if they kind of want to walk a similar path and they want to move outside the country, they want to move to Vietnam, Thailand, or Bali, and they want to get out of whatever they're doing in America, right? It just much more of a connection. So it doesn't even matter if someone is bigger than me or more popular than me or even better than me. They don't have the same story as me. And sometimes you learn better from someone who's closer to your situation versus someone who has the most subscribers. Now, another thing I do a little differently is I try not to associate myself with other make money online creators, right? So for my ideal audience and who I'm going after, I'm not, I don't think my clients are dumb, right? Like they're not going to be fooled by, like Andrew Tate and his Bugatti and Lamborghinis and stuff, right? They're not the type of people that fall for these kind of marketing plays. So what I try to do is be more realistic to show you how to actually do something versus just trying to sell flash, right? If I wanted to be flashy, I could, but that's not the angle that I'm trying to take because I'm trying to be different in a crowded market. Next is aesthetic and branding and taste. And I do believe that the fonts, the colors, your color grade on your video, the lighting, how you do your website, all these things, like it plays a factor. Because let's say I want to hire 2 coaches, right? And they did the exact same thing and they have the same background, but one has really good taste and good photos and videos while the other guy is just using his iPhone. I'm going with the guy with taste because I connect with that more personally, right? And so I try to use my taste as an advantage as well. Now, something I touched on earlier was using your origin story, right? And this is actually one of the most powerful ways to sell. And it's really just like having a relatable origin story. And I didn't say having the best origin story because it's all relative, right? But being relatable to who you're trying to sell to is a big part of this. So when you're crafting an origin story, there are a couple key things. The first is you got to have a clear before and after transformation, right? And make sure it hits the main pain points of your ideal customer. So for me, my pain point is you have a 9-to-5 job, you don't like it, you want to do something entrepreneurial, you're afraid AI is going to replace you, and your dream scenario is making 10K per month, working online, being able to travel the world, living life on your terms, right? Before and after. I made that transformation for myself, so I can teach other people how to do that, you see? Now, the next thing is clearly explaining the challenges in achieving your goals. The more relatable, the better, right? So a lot of times in my origin story, what I'll say is I moved to Thailand. I didn't make any money for a year. I tried all these different businesses like a matcha ice cream shop, which I actually used in this video. So you see how I did it, right? And then I try to, put all the challenges in my way and to explain like, hey, when you do this yourself, you probably are going to experience the same thing, or maybe you have already experienced the same thing. And so when I do that, they feel like, oh, like Patrick already walk the path, so why don't I just pay him to get the shortcut? He's just like me, right? And the key is you want to make the viewer feel like they can do it too. Okay, so it's not enough that Patrick can do it. It's not enough that my clients can do it. I need to make you, the person on the other side of the screen, yes, you. I need to make you believe that you can do it too. Otherwise, you're never going to do the call to action at the end of the video. You're never going to book a call. You're never going to sign up for the lead magnet. You're never going to sign up for the free training, right? You just don't believe. But if I get you to believe and you really feel like, yeah, it's possible, then you take the next steps and eventually you end up on a call with me. We see if it's a fit to work. So now that we understand the whole importance of an origin story, let's talk about the content to client ecosystem. So there's really 3 stages when it comes to getting discovered online and turning that view into a paying client, right? So stage number 1 is discovery. So somebody just goes on YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, and they just happen to discover your content, right? And how you do this is you create content that basically agitates some kind of problem or pain. So if I made this video and I said, hey, like I'm gonna show you how to build an offer and personal brand, everybody who's struggling with that will be like, oh, I need to build a personal brand. Like I'm posting content, I'm not getting results. Like, what do I need to do? Then you click on this video and you're watching here, right? And then you want to think of it like a content ecosystem. It's not just one video that sells a person. It's like they watch one YouTube video, then they watch like 3 more, and then they're like, that was pretty cool. Then they go to sleep. Then next week, the algorithm pops up the next video, right? They're like, oh, Patrick dropped a new video. Let me check that out. And then they're like, oh, wow, that's pretty cool. And then they follow you on LinkedIn. And then suddenly, I'll DM you on LinkedIn. I'll be like, hey man, I just saw that you followed me. Just curious. Are you here for the content or you trying to build your personal brand? Be like, oh my God, like I've been watching Patrick's content for the last like 3 months and now he just DM'd me. So yeah, I would love to talk to him. Yeah, I'm trying to build my personal brand. Then we get him on a call, right? So you see, it's all an ecosystem. The more time somebody spends on your brand, like whether it doesn't matter which platform, and YouTube is the best for getting them to like spend hours on your brand, the higher chance they have to buy your stuff. Now, stage 2 is the trust side, right? So when somebody consumes a bunch of your content, the goal is to make them feel like, like this person might be able to help me. That's the goal. So in every video, even my videos, right, I'm teaching, right? I'm trying to provide value to show you like how to do this. But at the same time, I'm selling, but subtly, right? So I'm not saying like, oh, you gotta buy my stuff now, or it's too late, limited time offer, right? I don't do it that way. What I do instead is give as much value as possible, show you that it's possible, and kind of like even like give you some belief in yourself to make you believe that you can do it. Because if you don't believe you can do it, you're not gonna buy anything, right? And so you're kind of like slowly getting them to believe what you believe. So my philosophy and how I think, how I look at the world, I want to pass it off to you guys, right? Now, stage 3, conversion. So once someone consumes so much of your content, like I was saying, eventually there will be points in your video or your post or whatever, or the DMs, where that person can convert from just a viewer to a book call to a client, right? So somebody might watch, 10 videos of mine, and then at the end, it'll be like, hey, like, if you found value in this and you want to, take it to the next level, book a call, links in the description to my calendar, right? So maybe it'll take 10 videos before they book a call, right? You can't expect someone to watch one video and just book a call with you. They're going to watch like a bunch, because when you're convincing someone to book a call, it's like you have to sell the call. Because what if the person feels like, oh, if I go on a call, they're just going to sell me, right? Oh, I'm not ready for this, or I'm not sure if I have the money for this. Like, I don't know. I don't want to invest. I don't want to disappoint them, right? Like, all these things are going in your head of like feeling booking that call is like a big step. Even though it's really not, it feels like a big step, right? And it's really not. But in order to get people to book a call with you, especially if you want to do YouTube and you just want to like for me, right? Like, we have calls coming in all the time without having to do anything. We just, make videos and people book whenever they want to book. It's nice, right? To be honest, you don't have to chase anybody. But to do that, you have to make good content that convinces people to believe in the same things you believe. Now, the 3 main types of content that are just the easiest to make, especially if you're selling like some kind of service, coaching, consulting, or skill. First one is like a problem-based content. So just call out the pains that they have and kind of solve it in the video. Next one is framework content. So let's say you have a special way of doing something, like you show your framework on how you solve the problem. So for example, if I did a video on my, super secret technique on how I write YouTube scripts with AI in 5 minutes, right? It's like my method of solving the problem, okay? And then the last piece is like social proof content. So if you look at my channel, I basically make these like mini documentaries now of how I take my clients from like 0 to like 10K per month, right? So it's kind of unique and different in the space where it's not just a boring interview. It's like I try to make it like, this is Brandon, and 30 days ago he had no idea how to do this, and now he's making $10,000 per month. So that's, one way to do it. There's infinite ways to do it, but the idea is like build authority by showing social proof to show that you are who you say you are. And so when you create all this content, and once you get more advanced and you are able to do multiple platforms, which again, I don't recommend you do in the beginning, right? Remember, 1 or 2. So you have like YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, and they all kind of funnel to one place, one monetization method, which is, it can be book a call, right? It doesn't always have to be. It could be a webinar or whatever. Let's call it book a call because that's the easiest for you guys. And then just close them, right? So at the end of the day, you want to make your offer successful, and you want to make money, and you want to get to 10K per month. Clearly, 80% of your time is on lead generation and making content and just selling people. And that is simply it. Now, watching this video doesn't just magically build your business. Implementation does. Now, most people stay stuck because they don't have a clear plan. They don't have personal guidance or accountability when things actually get hard. And that's the exact reason for why I created the Founder X program. This is where I'm going to work directly with you to identify your skills that you should be packaging into an offer. Then I'll show you how to build a personal brand around this offer to sell it and get you to 10K per month as quickly as possible. Jaden actually signed 16 clients off of his trading program just from posting some YouTube videos and some Instagram stories. And Brandon actually got to $10,000 per month after working with me for 30 days, selling an offer where he's helping other construction companies with their content marketing and helping them just make simple videos on LinkedIn. Now, the commonality between all these guys is that they actually use a skill they already had in order to create a brand new offer and sell it into the market. Now, here's the thing. Founder X isn't for people who just want to try and dabble. It's for people who are committed to actually escaping their 9 to 5. Now, most people I do work with actually have 9 to 5 jobs. They're starting from zero and they don't have an audience. And the worst part is they feel lost because they're trying to figure out things alone. So if that sounds like you, you're in the right place. I've actually put together a free training that'll show you exactly how FounderX works and how you can take your skills and turn it into an offer and build your personal brand to sign high-ticket clients. I put a link in the description for you to check out. No strings attached. So after you watch the training, and if it makes sense, you can actually book a call directly with me and I'll help you create a plan on how you can do this too. Now, if this video gave you any clarity or inspired you to get started, subscribe because I'm going to be breaking down what actually works in building online businesses every single week. Thanks for watching and I will see you in the next one.